Yo, welcome back to One More Mana. My name is Derik, and today we're getting into the top 5 most bruh-worthy cards from the Lost Caverns of Ixalan. This set seems wonderful. Like, if you would have told 12-year-old Derik there would be a game with fungus monsters, dinosaurs, fungus dinosaur monsters, fungus pirates. I guess I must have liked fungus as a kid. I don't know. Vampire demons, all types of weird combinations of stuff. It's all here, and I got a lot to say, so I can't wait to get into it. If you want any of the stuff in this set, though, and you want to show the channel some love, go ahead and hit up our referral link. Got it on the screen. It's in the comments, the description. Whatever it is you're looking for, you're going to find it, and show the channel some love. We always appreciate it. But let's just jump straight into this list. If it's your first time viewing one of these videos, we're talking about the cards that make me feel some type of way, cards that make me feel things that could be positive, negative, and everything in between. But either way, it's making me say, bruh, and question what's going on in the world of Magic, because there's some crazy stuff in this set. All right, we're going to start at number 5. The number 5 most bruh-worthy card in this set is going to be Earthshaker Dreadmaw. Look, they just straight up took, look, I get it, Colossal Dreadmaw is kind of a meme, kind of just like a whatever card. They just took Colossal Dreadmaw and just straight up power crept it 100%, clearly supposed to be the same thing. And it really has me thinking, does that mean they're going to make power crept versions of like Savannah Lions next? Is there going to be a more powerful version of Grizzly Bears? Honestly, I'm not someone who likes to overreact and get like reaction vids and hot takes and stuff. But this is the sign of the end times. Magic is literally dying. Oh my gosh, there is no coming back from this. Now, number 4, the number 4 most bro-worthy card in this set is going to be Tyion Soul Cleaver. Tyion Soul Cleaver, look, there's some text on the card that you can't necessarily see. There's obviously the text of it gives creatures vigilance, then whenever a creature or artifact is put into a graveyard, so anyone's graveyard, you put a +1/+1 counter on the equipped creature. But there's also a keyword on this that's in very tiny text that's hard to see that says what had happened. And what it has reminder text as well. For anybody who's not familiar with the what had happened mechanic, the reminder text says, see, what had happened was we didn't realize treasures were going to be this powerful. Treasures are a bit obnoxious. They kind of have no downsides. They're incredibly powerful. You're basically just getting a bunch of free Lotus Petals, and like looking back, Lotus Petals are kind of powerful, so getting a bunch of free Lotus Petals seems like it's kind of a good deal. There's really not a downside, so we're starting to print cards like this to go ahead and give you an upside when your opponent's cracking treasures, but as we're saying this, we realize it's also rewarding the treasure player because they're cracking their own treasures to get +1/+1 counters. Whoopsies, we're hoping for the best. And that's what it's very tiny text, so it's hard to read. But on a positive note, yes, it does reward the treasure player. But what I love about this card, and bro, why I am so excited, because that was my first, I read it, and I was like, bro, I need this in just about every deck I have that cares about trying to punch someone with a big creature, which is like all of my decks. I tried to run Treasure Hate in a number of my decks, and it just never went well. There's certain cards that go ahead and turn treasures into 0/0 creatures, essentially, and just kill them off. There's cards that punish opponents when their artifacts are going to the graveyard. But the thing was, it felt so pointed towards just Treasure Hate that it wasn't advancing my own game plan ever in any way. And the times where treasures were not getting cracked, which albeit is not super often, they would just do nothing cards. And I wanted versions of this that could further my strategy while also punishing my opponent's treasures. And I think Tyion Soul Cleaver is a perfect example of this. This is going straight into my Flame War deck because I'm cracking my own treasures, I'm sacrificing my own artifacts. And now when you do it, my big motorcycle monster with swords is going to punch you even harder. It's going to go straight into Grimmy, because in Grimgrin, I'm sacrificing my own creatures, basically doubling up the +1 counters on my commander. And just, oh, by the way, if you're doing a bunch of sacrificing shenanigans, especially with treasures, then I'm just getting the benefit in the process. It's a 1-mana card. It's crazy efficient. And I just love this design space of, okay, treasures are a bit much. Let's find some fun ways to make that a downside for your opponents. And I think the more and more cards we get like this, look, people are still going to run the treasures anyway, and they're probably going to win because of it, but at least this will make them think twice about when to crack them and at least give them more decision points outside of, I have mana and I win. Now, the number 3 most bruh-worthy card in this set is going to be the Enigma Jewel. Look, I'm going to be honest, I only read like 60% of this card, and we're gonna just throw this into a category. A craft is in general, some of these cards I found hard to grasp. I know that it gives you the instructions of what you're supposed to craft, and then it turns into something and it can use different pieces of what you craft. I think it's super cool. I think it's a very interesting mechanic. We've talked in some other videos that we've done when I was talking with Sed and Ken about the complexity of this set and how high this complexity threshold is. Specifically with craft, I found it to be a little bit, it hurts my head a little bit, but the Enigma Jewel is the perfect example of a category of cards that I call, I didn't finish reading, I'm happy for you, or I'm sorry that happened. I'll be honest, I'm not going to finish to find out. It's a lot. There's a whole category of cards. I might just do a side video on this at one point. Of cards, there's so many cards in the last 2 years that have been printed that I've just never finished reading. I've gotten like 60% of the way through. The second my head starts to hurt, or I realize I'm just reading words and not comprehending, I'm like, okay, cool, on to the next card. There's so many cards at this point that I've realized trying to interpret and memorize and understand every card, if you're a Commander player where it doesn't really matter, it's just a losing battle and it's just going to hurt your head. So you just got to skip some for your own mental health. This is one of those. It's just a category of card of where, look, I'm not a big reader, probably says a little bit about me. I don't read like novels for fun or for anything like that. I'm not going to read novels on my Magic cards, so I'm going to just skip over this one. If you kill me with it, which you probably will, or do some cool stuff, I'm going to cheer for you, clap you on, all that type of stuff. I'm just not going to do it myself. I'm sure on Arena, this has to be super fun because it's going to track all that stuff for you. But as someone who, I've told y'all a bunch, I have like a very strict rule with my decks. The less thinking, the better. I want to go to punchies and enjoy my social time. This is making me think a bit too much. So, bruh, just cut it on the words just a little bit. I'm sure it's a super fun card, but the brain pain is not quite worth it for me just yet. Now, the number two most bro-worthy thing in this set, we're going to do a whole category. Look, there'll probably be a card on the screen representing this, but it's Discover. So we're going to do, we haven't had a Derik tangent, I feel like, in forever. So I'm going to go on a little Derik tangent off to the side, and we're going to circle back to Discover. So my cat is a menace, and the most adorable and lovely of menaces, but a menace nonetheless. He likes to run around, throw things off shelves, break things. He just launched a little bobblehead I had of myself across the living room the other day. It exploded into like 12 pieces. He broke my girlfriend's favorite mug. He does parkour off the furniture and screams. It's a great time. So sometimes when he gets a little too hyped up, my girlfriend likes to give him what is called self-reflection time, where she picks him up, puts him in front of the mirror, has him look at himself and says, Barkevius Bargleton, you need to think about what you've just done. Reflect on what you're doing. Now, the reason I say this is because I feel like I need to have some self-reflection time with whoever decided that Cascade needed a more powerful version. Look, Cascade is one of those mechanics that just like when people start cascading stuff just goes wild, and I typically just check out because I'm like, look, I'm probably just gonna die now. Tell me what the end result is, and if we lose, we lose. We'll try again next time. But this is like, okay, Cascade's cool, but like, what if you hit a counter spell? What if you hit a spell you're not ready to cast? This just lets you put it in your hand on top of the fact that it's equal to or less than, not just less than, as far as mana value wise, like Cascade. I get there's technically a downside because Cascade's on cast, so you get that even if a spell's countered, where a lot of these are just effects on the battlefield, so counter magic interacts a little bit better. But bruh, I'm essentially reading this as more powerful Cascade on first glance, and yeah, right, that's, look, Merfolk, Typal, needed some buffs, awesome, love to see it. Weird little robot dudes, needed some buffs, love to see it. Cascade, I don't think it did, I'm gonna be completely honest. Now at number one, for me, the number one most bro-worthy card in this set, it was easy, and it is the most excited, like, squeals of a bro. Like, I read it, and I probably actually let out an audible squeal. And it is the Myco Tyrant. The Myco Tyrant is just, the art is beautiful, both arts. The lore is super cool in that it's this weird, like, fungus monster controlling tyrant thing. It's giving me weird, like, Phyrexia vibes, trying to make all one with the fungus and stuff. Maybe that's why it resonates. I love the Myco Tyrant. I think it's one of the cooler villains we've seen in new Magic sets in a while. But even more importantly, the mechanics on this thing are awesome. This is one of my favorite design cards I can remember in a very long time. It does this really cool thing where it takes a powerful ability, keeps it strong, but makes the most obnoxious parts of it less than you'd expect. And I'll get into more of the reasons for that in a second. So basically, the Myco Tyrant is a card where its power and toughness is going to be equal to the number of saprolings and fungi that you control. So you have this ability to make this giant punchy creature, which you already know I'm going to be in love with. That's the type of Magic I want to play. I want to be punching stuff. So already that's awesome. Now the second part of the card that's really interesting is on your end step, you create X fungi tokens with the ability to where they can't block, where X is the number of times you've descended this turn, and when you descend, it's each time a permanent card, I should say, is put into the graveyard. Now there's a number of kind of like self nerfs that it's doing within itself that I think make this card so much cooler than it otherwise would have been. Honestly, I think in like the era of just like rampant power creep from a few years ago, this card probably would have, 1, created Saproling tokens, 2, they would have had the ability to block, and 3, it would have probably allowed its own token sacrificing to then feed its own engine and just turned into this monstrosity. But it does none of those things. It doesn't create Saprolinks, which is huge because there's so many Saproling cards in Magic and so many Saproling synergies that would make this busted. If you were making 10, 15, 20 Saprolings on the end step, you could just win the game off of so many effects, and it doesn't let you do that. You can't take advantage of the existing synergies. You have to find some new ways to do it. One, that is absolutely awesome. Two, the fact that these fungi can't block. Honestly, the text "can't block" on tokens has become probably my favorite thing to see. I play a lot of zombies with decayed zombies, and the things that I love about tokens that can't block, or the rats that we just had in Eldraine, it doesn't just kind of gum the board up. Normally with token decks, you get into these states where, oh, I got all these tokens, but I'm not ready to kill everyone yet. And the whole thing's at a standstill. It turns into this, oh gosh, do I have a flyer? Can I get around it? Is there evasion? But with these, you can further your board state. You can use these tokens as sat fodder, or you can attack with them if you want, but it's not going to stop everyone else from trying to attack because they can't block. It really stops the game from turning into this never-ending mess, and I love that about it. On top of that, the fact that Descend specifically cares about permanent cards, this does not trigger when your tokens go to the graveyard because it's permanent cards, not just permanents. So you have to be getting other cards into the graveyard. Just all around, I think the design of this card is perfect. I love it. I love self-mill decks. I get to make a bunch of tokens, have a big punchy Elder Fungus, and bruh, it's probably the fastest I've ever started on a deck list after seeing a card, and if that's not the number one thing for me in this set, I honestly don't know what else is. That's going to wrap it up for this week's video. Really hope y'all enjoyed it. What are the cards that are making you say, bro? What cards have you excited, confused, or just feeling some type of things from Lost Caverns of Ixalan? Let me know down in the comments below. Got tons of exciting stuff dropping very soon, so keep an eye out for it. But until then, see y'all next time.